I want to ask you something before we get into this. Think about the last time you told someone about a big change that you had that you were going to make. Maybe it was leaving a job, starting something, moving somewhere, finally having that conversation. You had it all mapped out, you had the timeline, you knew the numbers. You might have even started telling people about it like it was already done. And then nothing changed. 6 months later, a year later, you're still in the same place. And here's what most people do with that. They tell themselves they just need a better plan, more research, a cleaner spreadsheet. One more conversation with someone might finally tell them what they want to hear. But I want to offer you something different today. You don't have a planning problem. You have a decision problem. And there's a version of you that already knows the difference. This channel exists because I believe that men in their 40s and 50s are capable of more than they've been giving themselves credit for. Not more hustle, not more grinding, more becoming. And one of the things that separates the men who are still becoming from the ones who have stopped is this. They stop confusing plans for decisions. I'm going to tell you a story, and I'm going to tell you the parts that's embarrassing to admit, because I think that's the part that'll actually help you. My wife and I were moving to Spain, not dreaming about it, not someday about it. We were actually moving. I had spent months, maybe longer, running the numbers, the cost of living, the visa requirements, the cities we were considering. And I knew what it would cost in taxes. 35% as an American living abroad. That's real money. But I already made peace with it. Because in my mind, the trade was simple. More taxes, more life. I was going to walk away from a $200,000 a year job at age 57. We were going to build something different. And my wife, she was all in. We talked about it. We agreed on it. She wasn't being dragged anywhere. Started cleaning out the house, selling things, doing what you do when you're actually dismantling one life to build another. But something felt off. She was going along with it, but she wasn't with it. There's a difference. You can feel it in a marriage. You don't need someone to say anything. You feel it in the energy in the room, in the way conversations end, in the quiet that follows. She just wasn't herself. She wasn't upset, not hostile, but in her mind was somewhere else. And it took a while to get it out of her. When she finally said it, it hit me. She couldn't leave the grandkids. She was thinking about missing birthdays, ordinary Tuesdays, movements you can't schedule in advance. And in her mind, even if it wasn't fully rational, it felt like she might be losing something else that she couldn't get back. And I'm not going to pretend I handled it perfectly, because I didn't. I was hurt. Because from where I was standing, I had health things that I was dealing with. This wasn't just a dream. This was a plan for our life. And it felt like everything we had been building towards was being outweighed by something that, if I'm being honest, wasn't even fully true. We weren't disappearing. We could come back. We could visit. But in that moment, none of that mattered. And it created distance. A few days where we didn't really talk. A lot of quiet in the house. And if you're married, you know exactly what that silence feels like. It's not peaceful. And at some point, I had a choice. I could keep trying to win with my version of the plan, or I could stop and actually look at what we were building together. What came out of the conversation was something I didn't expect. We didn't find a compromise. We found a better decision. We're going to sell the house. We're going to move into a retirement community, buy the home outright, or finance very little, still up in the air, but keep the monthly expenses real low. And instead of me working till 65, I'm done at 59. And here's the part that actually surprised me. This plan might be better than the original. We still go to Spain, up to 90 days at a time. No 35% tax rate now. No long-term obligation. Then we move on. Maybe somewhere else in the world. Come back home. Same lifestyle without the weight. And my wife told me something that stuck. She said if she ever wanted to come back early, she was fine with me staying over in Europe. That's not restriction, that's freedom. And because we didn't go the residency route, I keep everything. I still walk away from a 200K job. I keep building this channel. I keep the optionality. And if anything I'm building scales faster than I expect, I leave earlier. The first plan would have worked, but the decision we made together works better because it wasn't just mine. And that's when something clicked for me that I want to give you today. A plan without a decision is just a well-organized wish. Most people don't have a problem making plans. They have a problem making decisions. And there's a reason for that. Plans feel productive. You can build a plan and you can feel like you've done something. You can refine it. You can talk about it. You can get really good at describing it. And nothing has to change. A decision is different. A decision costs something. It closes doors. It requires you to stop gathering information and start moving. Here's how I think about it now. There are 4 levels. Plans are things that you organize. Intentions are things that you say you're going to do. Decisions, things that actually move your life. Aligned decisions, the only kind that actually stick. Most people live between levels 1 and 2 their entire lives. They have great plans, genuine intentions, and they wonder why nothing changes. I have a friend, smart guy, successful career, mid-50s. He's been talking about leaving corporate for 3 years. He had the spreadsheet. He had the runway. He had the LinkedIn draft ready to go. He just never pulled the trigger. And I finally asked him directly, what's actually stopping you? And after a long pause, he said, my wife doesn't think that we can afford it. Not we can't afford it. My wife doesn't think we can afford it. Those are 2 completely different problems. One is a math problem. The other is a conversation that has not yet happened. He had a plan, a good one, but he hadn't made a decision because decision required someone else. And until he had that conversation, really had it, not the version where he presented his case and waited for her to come around, nothing was going to change. So here's what I've learned. The most important decision of your life almost never belong to you alone. Career pivots affect your family. Financial moves, they affect your partner. Health decisions affect people who love you. And if you've been building a plan in isolation, treating alignment like a checkbox at the end instead of part of the process, you're not making decisions. You're making proposals, and proposals can be rejected. This channel is called Unfinished for a reason, because I believe that men watching this, the ones in the middle of their lives who still feel like there's something left to build, they're not stuck because they lack vision. They're stuck because they haven't moved from the plan to the decision, and more specifically, from the decision to the aligned one. Forward movement isn't just action. It's the right action at the right time with the right people alongside you. That's the difference between a year from now looking back and saying we built something versus a year from now having a better spreadsheet. Right now, there's something in your life. You've already planned it. You've thought it through, talked about it, maybe convinced yourself you've decided. But if you're honest, it hasn't moved. So here are the questions I want to leave you with. What have you planned that you haven't been calling a decision? And who else needs to be part of that decision before the life actually changes? Not to approve it, not to give you permission, but because it belongs to both of you. Because here's what I know after going through it. The plan I had was good. The decision we made together, it was better. And the life on the other side of that decision, that's the one that's actually worth building towards. Finished isn't a destination, it's a direction. And it only moves forward when the right people are moving with you. If this one landed with you, if there's a plan in your life that's been sitting still, drop it in the comments. You don't have to have it figured out. Just name it. because sometimes saying it out loud is the first move. And if you're new here, do me a favor and subscribe. Every week I'm putting out something for men who aren't done becoming. I'm Mario. This is Unfinished. I'll see you in the next one.